Jason, diolch yn fawr chi gyd am ymuno efo ni heddiw. Dwi'n falch iawn I weld gymaint ohonoch chi yma. Thank you all very much for coming and joining with us today to talk about what can be a very controversial subject, if I could put it like that, the issue of stock transfer itself. What is the big opportunity? Well, first of all, if I was honest, I could declare an interest. There is a big opportunity here for Community Housing Cymru. 25-30 years ago, registered social landlords provided housing for 1% of the population of Wales. 30 years on, it's 5%, with a transfer of stock to Torfaen, to Rhondda, and to Monmouthshire, it'd be more like 7%. If we were to see that transfer to 17 organisations, as Jeff mentioned, then we're probably talking 20% of the population. So I think under those circumstances, it's time for us not to focus on the opportunity for us as a movement, but actually what the expectations should be in Wales, given that this issue is of such great potential importance, not just in terms of housing, but in terms of cutting across a number of public service issues. That's why we changed our position on stock transfer over the last couple of years. There are a number of members of our National Council out there in the audience today, including our chair, Chris O'Mara. And we had a pretty neutral stance on stock transfer, given its controversial nature to about a couple of years ago. But we changed, and we changed because this is really about the future of tenants' lives, and just looking at some of the issues and some of the challenges that we all face when it comes to housing and broader issues over the next few years. First of all, we've lost 34,000 units, social housing units over the past 10 years, and have been able to build only 17,000 in their place. I think we're all aware on a daily basis the issues and challenges that face us all when it comes to affordability, and the way in which the number of repossessions will be on the increase given recent interest rate rises. A recent survey by one of the sponsors of today, by Lloyd's TSB, found that 12% of 18 to 24-year-olds in Wales have actually sacrificed a place in university in order to save for a home. I think that's pretty illustrative of some of the issues that are going on in housing right now. And I think added to that, we've got 20,000, a record number, 20,000 homeless people in Wales, a third of which, over 7,000, have dependent children. And added to that, in terms of the Welsh Housing Quality Standard and ensuring that we have decent and fit homes for the future, we have to overcome this problem that Jeff underlined so well, in that we have inherited just about the worst housing stock in the whole of the UK. Add to that the fact that we are 20% poorer than the UK average, that depending upon which economist you talk to, at least a third of that gap is due to unacceptably high levels of economically inactive. And as Jeff said, you will find at least a third of those economically inactive people in social housing. If we're to support the way forward and the achievement of the Welsh Housing Quality Standard, then I think we have to make sure that those tenants are benefited as much as possible from the new investment that's on its way. I think that's enough of the bad news, really, and the seriousness from me on this issue. There is an awful lot of good news out there, and an awful lot to be cheerful about when it comes to the future. A number of reasons to be cheerful. First of all, there is this issue of the 3.5 billion investment in order to achieve the Welsh Housing Quality Standard. That is not just housing investment. That has to be a classic example of how you can have a cross-cutting policy intervention that creates jobs, creates training opportunities, helps develop businesses, it helps transform communities and their environments, and improves longer-term health outcomes in Wales. I think that's the challenge, one of the most optimistic challenges that we face over the next few years. Also during that period, an additional investment in social housing of 450 million. Housing associations will, through working with lenders, increase that expenditure to 750 million through leverage on the markets. Added to that as well, we've also recently identified within the movement an additional 110 million that we believe we can invest in housing and communities if we have more appropriate regulatory framework. So all in all, investment over the next 5 years or so of 4.3 billion in housing. We have to make it work, and we have to make it work as effectively as possible. There are challenges out there for the National Assembly, for the Welsh Assembly Government, for all of you that are represented here today, for existing registered social landlords, for new organisations and shadow boards that are emerging. Also, I think, for local government and indeed for the private sector, if we're to see the type of transformation that Wales deserves. This isn't just about kitchens and bathrooms, it has to be about hearts and minds and making places, real places for people. And I think it's about leadership, something that Jeff again alluded to. J.K. Galbraith once said that of all the great leaders, they have one characteristic in common. It was the willingness to confront unequivocally the major anxiety of their people in their time. This, and not much else, is the essence of leadership. Well, I think that challenge for greater local and national leadership, as Jeremy Beecher would put it, is there now. It's facing us all when it comes to housing. A number of you that have already dealt with the issue of stock transfer that are here today have demonstrated that leadership, and I think today we need to capture the wisdom and the way in which you've enriched Welsh life over the last few years in dealing with that. But also make sure today that you enjoy yourselves and you get as much out of it as possible. You'll see from what's on the side of this wall here, also the fact that we have somebody recording different bits and bobs, that this is supposed to be quite innovative and participative in its way. We did indeed have a trailer that included YouTube. I thought that was quite trendy until I realised that the Chief Constable of North Wales doesn't just do YouTube, he actually is tasered on it. I promise you all that there will be no tasering here today, and try and make it as an electrifying experience as possible. It's an exciting period of time in front of us. Let's make the most of it, and let's make the most of it today. Thank you very much indeed. Can I also thank our sponsors, the NCC Group, Lloyds, TSB, and MEAS as well, for making us available.
Nick, thanks very much indeed. You win a prize for the gag of the day, an electrifying day. Fantastic. I'm going to use that.